Hey guys, so now that we can do linear inequalities, let's try to tackle some quadratic inequalities. Okay, so basically questions that look something like this. X plus 1, x plus 2 is greater than 0. Okay, now let's just call this question 1. So how to solve this inequality? So make sure that you don't just say x equals to -1 and -2 as an answer. That would be correct if this was an equation, right, with an equal sign. But since we have an inequality, we can't just simply leave the answer like this. Okay, now the way I want you to think about it is graphically what is actually going on. So we have a parabola over here, right? So if I was to draw what this parabola looked like, let's say like this, we can see, hopefully, that -1 and -2 is where the intercepts are at. Okay, so if I just draw this parabola on, right, this is what the parabola should look like. And the question basically is, when is this parabola greater than 0? Okay, so you have this parabola, and by 0 we mean like the y value, right? X value is just like like for the location, right? The input, like when you're at the particular x, what's your value of y? So basically 0 is this whole axis, the whole x-axis. Okay, so above 0 would mean we want these values, this part of the graph. Commonly, you'll find people or textbooks, they will shade this region, right? So basically, that part of the graph is where the solution will lie. Okay, so it's greater than 0 at those points. So how do you actually write the answer? So for this, let's say x is, let's do it in white. We want x is smaller than -2 and x is greater than -1. Okay, so this is the solution to this inequality. So let's try a different sort of question, very similar, but if you see x outside of, say, x minus 1 is smaller or equal to 0. Again, first of all, you don't have to draw it, but it's a very good recommendation to just get into the habit of just drawing it, okay? And hopefully you get to the point where in your head, when you're thinking about these questions, that you kind of visualize a graph in your head as well. Okay, so I'm just going to draw the graph. And looks like the solutions for here is x equals to 0, and for this guy it's x equals to 1. So at 0 and 1, it's a upward smiley face parabola. And in this question, it's saying when is the graph less than 0, right? Less than or equal to 0. And if 0 is this x-axis, everything below it is going to be this part of the graph, right? This is the solution to the answer, the solution to this question rather, right? And we can shade inside here. So how do you describe this solution set? So since it's between 0 and 1, that's exactly how we're going to write it. So 0 smaller or equal to x and 1. Okay, make sure to always remember in the question, like in this one, they didn't give us an equal sign, it was just greater than, whereas this one, it was smaller than and equal to. Okay, so make sure to always remember to put the smaller than equal to signs there. Okay, so basically for parabolas, this sort of quadratics, there's only going to be two sorts of situations, right? You're either above the graph or you're below. Okay, so let's try one more question. And say question 3, we can do this one here. So x squared minus 2x minus 3 is greater than 0. Okay, so to graph this one, we're going to need to factorize. So in the previous questions, they already factorized it for us. So this one, let's just do a quick factorization. This one, at this point, you want to get so good at these factorizing techniques that it's just kind of second nature to you, right? You don't want to spend too much time worrying about learning how to factorize now. Okay, so for minus 3 and the factors of minus 3, let's say like minus 3 and 1, I believe this should work. So x minus 3, x plus 1 is greater than 0, which means we can draw a nice quick graph. And at minus 1 and 3, that's where our intercepts for the parabola lie. Okay, so here's the graph, and we want greater than 0. So we want above the graph. So this part of the graph. Okay, so let's shade under there. Okay, which basically, to answer the question, x is smaller than -1 and x is greater than 3. These are the solutions. And yeah, that's how you do inequalities for quadratics. Okay, so basically just graph it and answer the question, is it above or below the graph? Cool, sweet. I'll catch you guys in the next video.